Hello, people. So here I am again. I'm still here, same person, same shirt actually. I wear this shirt for like 10 years now, okay? I bought this shirt in Tampa, like North Florida. This is the Seminoles, and this is the FSU, Florida State University. And this is the sports team of this university. The Seminoles is the indigenous tribes in the state of Florida, and I am here recording this from South America, Argentina. And so, okay, so welcome to chapter 83. So there's 83 chapters of the Bring Civilization Back Trusts. That now we have this wonderful billboard here. Look at that. It's a nice billboard. This picture was taken in Copenhagen in Denmark in 2019. It's a politics meeting that we had there, right-wing oriented, but I am European. I want to make that sure. And usually the English I speak is European English. For example, I say thank you. Thank you. That's European English. Jewish English or Yiddish English, they say thanks, because it's very complicated. I'll do something. I will teach Jewish English and European English, but that will be different videos, not on the Bring Civilization Back Trust, because Bring Civilization Back Trust is a trust fund that refers to the reestablishment of the European society that is very puzzled right now. For example, I am working in Argentina right now in a place that supposedly looks more European than Europe, okay? Especially here, Rosario is a big city where most of the people, they are white looking, as we say in European English, okay? But but they do not follow European culture or European values. Like Judaism is what I identified on the Argentinian mix, is that it kind of predominates. And something very chaotic, for example, when it comes to Argentina, is that they have an urbanism that combines every culture, which it's beautiful, it's very interesting, it is very interesting, but you need to be aware that you'll be talking to Jewish people and European people simultaneously. Sometimes in the same conversation, I interfere because I don't speak Jewish English, but I can identify it. And so sometimes, which is important, because as they use the same words, but with totally different meaning, that's a confusion. So there's so many examples. Okay, for example, in Argentina, in Spanish, okay, they will say, "I have a meeting with people." As an European, I'll be like, what do you mean about having a meeting with people? They are basically just explaining the Old Testament side of the story, which means people together in a meeting. In European English, we would say, I am at Priscilla's birthday, which means a meeting with people plus the New Testament, which would be the celebration, the name of the person, like, so that would be European English. And in Argentina, you see people speaking Jewish Spanish and European Spanish simultaneously. And sometimes there is even this local slangs that they kind of confirm that's useless, it is chaotic, because even Argentinians, they say, oh, esto es un teléfono descompuesto, which means this is a telephone that does not work, which means, they say, oh, era todo humo. Everything was a smoke, just smokes. Why? Because they didn't really communicate anything. They didn't go anywhere. Because one person was talking in Jewish Spanish, the other in European Spanish. Basically, they were not talking about anything. And that's why sometimes I believe the American model is best, because in America we have Miami and California for the Jewish community. So if you want to be in a Jewish environment, you can go to Miami and you'll be there are even different insurance companies, different banks, because they do understand in the United States that Miami is a sanctuary city, is where Jewish people belong, or so you know you're crossing the border when you go to Miami, for example, and other neighborhoods. Okay, that happens in other parts of the world. You have Singapore, for example, in Asia. Again, Miami and Singapore, they're famous because they are for the rich Jewish community. That's another aspect. Because sometimes people fantasize, oh, everybody who's Jewish is rich. No, those are famous. The same way, not only Jesus Christ was Christian, okay? So the same thing. So it's not just, oh, in Miami, yeah, there's a lot of wealthy people there. They are mostly Jewish, but that does not imply that every Jewish in the whole world is rich, okay? It's just, Judaism is just a religion, just like any other religion. And I do not want to go into religion on the Bring Civilization Back Trust Fund, okay? The Bring Civilization Back Trust Fund is about the policies that are more related to costs that they have been deducted from life. And as we say on business, the salesman, which is my case, we are the soul of the business. We are the key people. So for what reason, Priscilla Zuckerberg, Tamiko Soros, and Sherry Redstone Corp, and Loretta Rothschild, why? Maybe Sarah Nandu, like why? Why did they took the decision that salespeople should be automated, whatever? It will never work. There's nothing more organic and more human than salespeople. We can industrialize the mechanics of it. Like now, I do this video, it gets millions of views, and people want to buy this shirt. Okay, I make a call. I tell Priscilla Zuckerberg, please do organize this thing. I had to deliver like 10 million shirts. And they're saying, and then she boom, 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 she organized whatever automated, but it's not possible to, oh no, let's try to do artificial intelligence so people will be brainwashed and you have the necessity. This is too expensive, too inefficient, and here we are, 2026, chaos. But, okay, so let's go for Bring Civilization Back Trust, chapter 83. So, let's go by the lottery. I have my notes here. I'm again with my notes. And like, look how nice the little notebook that I purchased for this season. Look how cool. It's an island that I have been a couple of times. This is beautiful. It's in Thailand. It's called Maho Island. It's really beautiful. We can take these pictures there, but it's over a crowd of people. There's millions of people that visit this island like every day. They're in Thailand. It's in PP Island. I love that island. It's one of my, I bet it's my favorite island there on the planet. I've been there a couple of times. I have a very good time on that island. Phi Island in Thailand. So, the lottery. The lottery is about this report. Look at the size of this report. That's 142 pages, okay? Including the second attempt of murder that I suffered. This is me. That's 4 years ago. I was intoxicated in a bar, and then I got three punches like in my cranium and all that. I was at the hospital and all that. And it was the second, they tried to kill me twice in Argentina. And this was the first time they tried to kill me like this one, which I was intoxicated with a specific version of COVID-19. This was me, 2020. And then I was abandoned. I suffered the same crime that Maradona suffered, okay? Which is abandonment, like it's a qualified type of murder where they murder you to intoxication, something hospitalized, and then they abandon you at the hospital and they let you die, which is the crime that Diego Armando Maradona, the famous soccer player, was victim of in 2020 or 2021, also in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. And it's similar, but I survived, okay? Because I'm not sure if I would say the word stupid, because I don't think Maradona was stupid at all. Maybe he was just innocent. He did not know that Argentina was so violent, okay? Me, for example, then I go, it seems stupid, using the terminology, but for example, I just discovered yesterday, while filing a police report, that yes, there is in the criminal law in Argentina, the number one crime I have been victim of in Argentina, which is called threats to make you leave the country. So it is so frequent because I have these ideas. I knew I was being victim of this for 4 years now. It is documented in all my criminal reports and that I have filed in Argentina as a plaintiff, as the victim. But I did not know there was a specific legislation, so that's Article 144, or Article 1, Article 149, third Inc. 2B. That's even a code here. So that makes sense. It's against an institution that's called Colegio de Martilleros. There you can see. Okay, it's a criminal organization that's institutionalized as it was created in the 70s during the military dictatorship here. It's called Colegio de Martilleros. It's like a mafia where they organize public auctions of properties that they steal to market it in the black market so they can pay drug dealers for cocaine they ship to the United States out of Argentina. Did I say that too quick? Did I say that too quick? Is that it maybe it's like drug lords from South America, they produce cocaine in Bolivia, Colombia, like maybe some sections of Peru and Brazil, but the cocaine travels to the United States and to Europe through Argentina. And as Argentina is the fancy country of South America, drug lords, they get paid with properties that the drug cartel steals from people in Argentina. So through fraud and corruption, they steal, and that's what I've been victim of, because my parents, they used to have over 20 properties, both in Rosario, also in Córdoba, some in Brazil, because my grandparents, they built the British, they were part of the team that built the British railroads in Argentina, and my mom had a transportation company. So my grandpa, my grandfather, and my mom, they had for like 70, 80 years transportation company. It's called Ronco and Hermanos here in Rosario, Argentina. So they had like terrains in the city center and all that, and all these things, they started like in the 60s. This fraud with properties and the drug cartel shipping cocaine out of Argentina through, and you know, it's in finance, it's called bartering. It's when they pay for the goods with objects, not with cash money. Because let's say an Argentinian ships to Miami like a small brick of cocaine, like this size, okay? Like this size, like you can put it in your pocket, okay? And then it lands in Miami, okay? But the thing is that if this is pure cocaine, this may be worth $100,000, like, and then they have the issue, like, how the Miami drug cartel is going to pay this $100,000 to this supplier in Buenos Aires. And then what they do is that, no problem, I'll get you. I will murder this lady, and then I pay some bribes in the courthouse in Argentina, and you get an apartment for you. So they even double their profits. So they not only get that $100,000 in Miami, but they also get, with the $100,000 they got cash in Miami, they send maybe $1,000, $5,000 to Argentina. And those $5,000, they will murder this lady, and they will pay some bribes at the courthouse in Argentina, and they will get this apartment, for example, an apartment in Buenos Aires that's worth $100,000. It also justifies why property is so cheap in Argentina, because at some point, that's one of the things people do not understand in Argentina. They're like, the cities are so nice, it's not really that. Why the same apartment is worth like $500,000 in Paris or in Madrid, and which basically is kind of the same vibes, and like, why only $100,000 for such a nice apartment? Like, well, because you don't want to go into those waters, and it's better. That's why most people, they prefer just to rent in Argentina, because it's safe. To own property is dangerous because you're a victim of this type of crime. You can be murdered because they want to pay drug dealers with your apartment or your house. And so it's a very tricky environment for people who want to own on apartment lands because it's not safe. And also, it's very interesting because it's something like, as it was done as force majeure, it's like the entire country is under this umbrella. Then I don't know if it was the military dictatorship who imposed that property in the country should be handled cash, because that's one of the things that I don't know exactly why is that and when that started, but for some reason the people of Argentina, they took the decision that they prefer real estate to be handled cash with no banks involved. I for IT for T. I have seen that. Okay, I have witnessed this. If you an Argentinian wants to buy an apartment, he comes with a bag of money, and then they get the it's very also Argentina has a history of contraband. You know, it's very very complicated. It's not complicated, but anyway, the crime I have been victim of, which is called a manipulation to threats to make you leave the country. That's also justifies why I was raised overseas. How come my parents with 20 properties instead of living like a millionaire life in Argentina, why they end up in Brazil, living as a worker there, and then yeah, it's very sophisticated, and I see, because now I connect the dots. Now I know what happened to me in 1993 when I was here in Rosario, and there was crimes that happened back then. There was more criminal activity in 1996. Always by the same perpetrators at that time, which is a lady that's just called Maria Alicia Alvarez de Lopez Diaz, and she lives still here. She hasn't been sentenced yet, but she does have a lot of a report. She's involved on the 2 attempts of murder that I suffered, and you know, it's it's a rough territory when it comes to real estate. Okay, other things in Argentina, they're pretty safe. Okay, but white collar, Jesus Christ, it's really complicated. Okay, so let's go to bring civilization back trust, and let's see now the cases. Okay, case L615. That's the one against the community of John Marcos Vencaro in Brazil. This case is 10 years old now. The last documentation reference to that case is that I basically, as Brazil now is on the section 301 of this investigations, the entire country of Brazil. So I have, I'm waiting for some actions to be taken in Washington, D.C., because I understand that this is more a case of Brazil and America relationship. And I believe that obviously now that there are funds unblocked through these taxes that are being, the import duties, and there are funds now on this cause of justice between Brazil and America, right? So now I believe this, not only 6815, which is against this rice mill in Brazil, but also L1818, which is against this Biller pool table slabs manufactured also in Brazil. Both are in Brazil. I believe now there is all the elements to do something that I have been requesting for so many years, which is the Brazilian embassy in Washington to boom, unblock that payment. I think the L615 is $38 million. The L1818, I think it's like 10 million or something like that. And then pay for the indemnizations that I am entitled to. Me, I talk in my business, LEGroup Industries in America, in Florida, and and then unblock. So then the payments process, and then in Brazil, the government of Brazil do this internally there between Brazilians. You know, they organize locally, whatever. I believe the government of Brazil may statize, make those companies public or something like that. They confiscate the entire company. I don't know. But when it comes to America now, with the United States Trade Representative Office there in Washington, D.C., and the Section 301 that englobes the entire country of Brazil, I think there's no limits now. There's no obstructions now in order to achieve the fully accomplishment in the end of this lawsuits. Okay, so these two, L615 is the rice mill that has falsified my brand American Alfala, American Cowboy, the crime happened in 2016, was fully reported to the authorities, not only in the United States, but also in Ireland and also in Brazil. And the other ones, the L18, the criminal activities that happened in 2018, which is there's videos here in my channel, so on the Brink Civilization, where we explain all in full details, both cases. Case L1004-21, that one is in Argentina. It also comprises Israel and Spain and Italy, because that's more like family law, because it's related to my properties in Argentina. It's related to the criminal activities that I mentioned, which is those threats to make people leave the country. So there's elements of force majeure, but then there is specific actions taken by the Israeli citizen Sofia Anich. She's the wife of Ricardo de Sumbila de Anich, and they are Jewish Ashkenaz, I believe, more than Sephardi, and they live in Cordoba, and they haven't closed the responsibility on some actions that they took in 2010. And alongside with the lady I mentioned before, it's Maria Alicia. She's a Jewish Sephardi, and she's from the Alvarez community, and she lives in Argentina as well. She holds some Spanish citizenship and Argentinian, and all of them, they need to come out with a solution plan and pay, or I don't know, but that's the local one, which involves real estates in Argentina, okay? Also, there's lots of videos here that I explain. This one is the one that it's this full documentation here that I'm added to the files now. That has included now EPSTEIN. Mr. EPSTEIN is involved also. Like, why? Okay, I'll explain why. Okay, my problems, as I do in the interview there with Paul Perry at the Gringos in Buenos Aires, okay, show, okay, is that I do have rich people problems. Okay, most of my problems are problems of rich people. Okay, who is rich people? And okay. Well, that's why I say also, there's a video there where I believe that I am part of the establishment, okay, by the fact that I am part of this super upper class, okay, and I interact with people with the super ultra upper class. I have clients that I have done business with that are among the wealthiest people in the entire planet, okay. So I'm there. So a lot of the things that I see from EPSTEIN files, I find them kind of familiar, okay? I have never been involved in any of those parties or events, but I believe I was a satellite of all those schemes, because if you see my life in the last 20 years, there's a lot of very crazy stuff that it's hard to really try to connect the dots, okay? My company in America, the business, I have cases, for example, with the Jack Kavanaugh is a billionaire in Los Angeles, for example, that we were simply opening 200 stores all across the globe. It was a super cool project. And out of the blue, I was called from someone in Brazil that I had to go quick to Brazil, and the whole thing went so crazy. I had to dismantle the whole thing. So I don't know really, and maybe no one knows. Even Jack Kavanaugh may not know. My business partner in Brazil may not know, and like we don't know. So maybe there was already some crazy stuff coming from the EPSTEIN files, because that's something I'll tell as part of this super upper high class and the jet setters of the planet. Okay, I can tell you one thing. The scariest thing about the EPSTEIN files is that they were eating human flesh and cannibalism and sex with babies and stuff. The craziest thing is that I take it with naturality to understand. I take it as like, oh, now it makes sense. Oh, that's logic. Because sometimes I was trying to find out what were the real interests about, because there's so many crazy stuff. Let's say Hollywood, okay? I circulate in Hollywood since 2008. And I've been listening, like there's, like, why I shouldn't have just a simple talk show or a regular show or something like basic. Like, there's always something weird going on. Louisiana, for example, someone was just, because that happened naturally. I circulate, people know me. I have millions of views if we put all together all my contents online. And then there was something in, like Louisiana, that was 2000. 15, and or 16, and then someone that was Lafayette in Louisiana, and then this sales lady from the Super Cool, she said that I should be on the show. So she introduced me to her friend who has a studio there, and I do some tests, and it never moves forward. There was something always there's always something hidden. Okay, that I never got involved. So yeah, I believe there is elements of the Epstein files on all the scales I have been through in 20 years of my business, and it does have some evidences on case L1077-25, which is the last case that involves my biological brother and his new wife, Daniela Nogueira. They were in Miami about 8 months ago and spending money that they should have paid me because they have some past due invoices of businesses they have conducted with me. And one of them is security of properties because my biological brother is part owner of the properties I am doing security in Argentina. And he has obligations, like his legal, official obligations to payments in reference to the to the repairs and taxes and legal fees and things to pay. But instead of processing this payment, he grabbed an airplane and he traveled to New York City, to Colorado. It was okay to see his biological daughter, and then to Miami like twice. And me, I had like direct conversations with him during this process because I am the one who understands America and speaks English, and I am the one who has sponsored his visa application back in 2012. And it's been 8 months and nothing going on. Like he didn't pay for anything, and he went into something like crazy. And he stayed at the FAENA hotel in Miami, spending money that he should have paid my company. And that was simultaneously to some problems I had with my landlord and also in Miami. And then the police in Fort Lauderdale acted strange on this case. So they kind of rejected the report I filed. So the whole thing, it's pretty crazy. But then when it was on the news that Jeffrey Epstein was friends with the FAENA owner in Miami, and then you're like, oh, now it makes sense. And my biological brother and his wife even took a selfie with the owner of the FAENA hotel. So you're like, oh, it kind of connects the whole thing. So I don't know. I have just added to my reports and like, look, that. Unfortunately, it makes sense. There's something because it's something that it goes a bit crazy, because I think. But then when it comes to Daniela Nogueira and Juan Caceres, I have met them in 2024. I do not believe they do cannibalism. That's my opinion. I don't believe they do cannibalism. I don't believe they did satanic rituals at the FAENA. But they do what I know and I have witnessed, and even on my birthday last year, Juan was present online through live camera, and he had this I know it has to do with the Messianic Judaism. It's kind of idolized objects. So he would have a conversation, and then he would bring an object, like I don't know, like this, and they would say, oh, "Look at this! You see, this is a branded camera stick, and this look, it's a real stainless steel and it's good quality, and like you see, this is beautiful. I love it." Actually, it was something like for cooking meats, and he was, "Oh, this is stainless steel," so they idolize. I have witnessed that because I was raised in Brazil, also Belo Horizonte. They have a very strong Jewish tradition of over 500 years, especially Messianic Judaism. So I witnessed that. So they know they idolize this object. So I believe they have some sort of compulsive feeling that all my $66,000 that reflects on the invoice L1077-25 they were possibly spent on luxury items in Miami. And actually, I had some conversations with them while they were still in Miami at the FAENA hotel, and they did say, "Oh, we're heading to shopping now or something." And I have one because I lived in Miami for 6 years, so I've seen that. I have several cases that they go possessed or something that they, and there is Louis Vuitton purses for $10,000, $12,000, and maybe that's stronger than them. Maybe the kind of same feeling that Epstein had with minor ages, or Helen, Helen, that lady there that does the TV show, the prisoner with eating pizzas of human flesh, or Sandra Bullock, that I believe she had like cells of newborns on her face. I cannot look at Sandra Bullock again with the same eyes, because I look at her, I just see like baby scan that I'm not sure if this is right or not, because I didn't go into full investigations about the kid, but it seems that Sandra Bullock and a lot of celebrities, this face they have, you see that their face look there's like a beef, there, there is even that that it seems like because they would murder newborns, that they would like they'll get pregnant girls, and they would look like grow these babies, and then when these babies were delivered, they will murder these babies and use the cells for cosmetics, which is something that I remember in the National Party meeting I had there in Londonderry, in the border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. That was 2019. There was a discussion about abortion. And remember, we spoke about that they were interested in cells from Irish people in Ireland because they would be useful for cosmetics and studies, and that's true. They use it for skin regeneration or something. All the fetus of people that do abortion. Like, I mean, that's a lot of. I think that's too much for a European mind. That's way too complicated. I think because we're not that blocked in the Old Testament only. That's the thing. Okay, so, anyways, that's a case L. 1004-21. Case L975 that was consolidated into case L1002-21. That's the one against Priscilla Zuckerberg and her husband. The lawsuit was initiated in Dublin, Ireland in 2019 when I went physically there to their office. The case is still there. It's I don't know. There's nothing new because it's there. It's just a bill they have to pay. At some point, they need to pay, right? That's a Facebook bill. But it's there. I don't have anything new about that. L1077-25, the one I just spoke, it's against Daniela Nogueira and her husband. And then L1061-24, okay? That one has now, it's included the police in Australia. Like, the thing is, I got a response from the Australian police, especially the one that's in charge of financial crimes, because there are some key points on the problem. Okay, the number one problem was I was victim of slavery, that by a crime committed by John Diaz, which is this. He started as a business partner, but then once we have a deal, I was a simple employee, and there was no way to monitor and control this man. He was like a savage, like blocks. I was just an employee, and it was all fraud. It was a case of bait and switch, okay? And so that was the number one. But then when we do the investigation, but how come I end up there? Like, what happened? No, what happened? And then there's the $15,000 I spent traveling to Los Angeles, California, for environmental issues, okay? And then it goes like, what happened? And like, oh, this is what happened. Why was enticed to go to California? Like, no. There is Green Bond Corporation, Mark Phillips, who's based in Australia, in Queensland, there near Brisbane, if I'm not wrong, and it was about payment. The negotiation. I do sales for 30 years now. The negotiations are pretty accurate, was pretty firm, and everything I see from the company, it seems that they were about to process a payment of about $1 million, which is about some carbon credits that we're marketing and selling. That's what I was doing, and from their Amazon rainforest, and then it goes to the suspicious activities, like for what reason Rebecca Huntsman's husband in Los Angeles was inserted in this negotiation, and for what reason, instead of that payment being processed, we entered into a 4-month sequence of calls and meetings where basically Rebecca's husband was draining and collecting all this confidential data from my company and my suppliers into his database. It's a global coalition stuff, but never a payment was processed. And because that's the thing. Obviously, that's, again, we go back to the Messianic Judaism, which I'm not sure if people in California or Australia know, but that's my business. That's what I do, and I do for a living in my company, you know. And then because there was because the thing is, the Messianics from South America would be my clients. We would do these calls with the community, with the Jewish community from Los Angeles, and maybe some people from London or Australia about these carbon credits and the environmental issues. But the thing is that the Messianics, they do this facade. So we would do this meeting, would be very facade, like a superficial thing. And once the meeting was over, my phone, we would implode of calls from the Jewish Messianic community, from the rainforest and from Buenos Aires, making me questions about the payments. Oh, when is Rebecca's husband paying? When is Mark Phillips in Australia paying? Do they pay? Are they going to send us $10,000? Are they going to pay? And they go, and then I'm like, well, guys, in the meetings, you guys show a total different scenario. Like they don't, you need to contribute because I'm the bad guy, you know. I'm the bad guy telling you how to process a payment. Then at some point, I put an invoice in place and I say, look, there's the invoice, let's process the payment. Otherwise, you're going to be like for 4 years more talking about these topics with no payments processed in place. And like, and we would do nicely, we would to Rebecca Huntsman, husband, we would say, look, is there any news from the payment from Greenbone Corporation in Brisbane, Australia? Are they processing the payment? Are they buying? And more meetings and draining information and draining ads and you uploading projects and they'll be even Rebecca's husband will even ask for record. Some of the meetings were even recorded and no payment. And then I put the invoice. Okay, I got this invoice, and then is when, as they say in Argentina, the puterio. Sorry, puterio is an interesting word. It's a bit vulgar, but it means when you have a lot of castrados, because the Jewish community, you have the matriarch, which is the lady who's the boss, like Priscilla Zuckerberg, and then you have the castrados. Castrado would be the Jewish man who that was on an European point of view, okay? Not on a Jewish point of view. I'm talking as an European, okay? So they will be subordinated to this matriarch. So at some point, the puterio means that all the castrados, they start to fight to each other. They make an analogy with a prostitution, like a whorehouse, okay? Like when prostitutes start to fight, like, oh, this is my purse, that's your purse, I bought this first. No, it's my, that's basically the terminology that I have heard, okay? I'm just using it, maybe trying to explain what I have. Because they start to fight to each other, like Jesus Christ is just to make a payment. Jesus Christ, or mamma mia la comunity, you know, as they say in European Italian, it's like, because sometimes the Jewish community, Jesus Christ, you feel ashamed. We say second-hand ashamed. Like, I'm not ashamed because it's not me, but other people are doing that. Like, Jesus is just to make a payment. It's like there's like a third war. War has just a start, you know? And no payment was processed. But the trickiest part was not that one. The trickiest part was Álvaro Diaz's attitude, okay? Because this whole thing, they're kind of small pennies, like they can be. That's my work. I do cross culture, so I'll fix it. Okay. The problem was Álvaro Diaz, who stand up his voice and called all my contacts, all my clients, and start doing fraud and defamation against me. That was really rough, and that's why that was the crime that was fully reported to the authorities, not only in Australia, where Greenbone Corporation is based, but also in California, where Rebecca husband's work, and he actually is a representative of Greenbone Corporation. Like, he does even have their email address, and in the Amazon rainforest, the COP30 organization, and in Miami, Florida, because that's where my company is, in London, United Kingdom, because I have a company also in the United Kingdom, and I have investors from the United Kingdom. Actually, I was referred to and introduced to Greenbone Corporation through a company in London and and Brazil. Argentina, not as much, because there's nothing related to Argentina specific about this case. There was clients in Argentina, but they're not. They'll be secondary. Yeah. So that's case L1061-24, where the big issue is slavery that I have been victim of, committed by Álvaro Dias in Brazil through a scheme they're doing in Brazil, which is hiring people as business partners. That's the fraud. What they do is that they say, "Oh, you're my business partner," and you become business partner of this company. Like, I'm not an employee; I'm a business partner, but only while we work for free and you're investing. At the time you do have a reality, then they do bait and switch. And in this case, for example, they simply try to partner with my clients and they just dump me. Like, yeah, you're not interested anymore. And it's pretty stupid as well, okay? It was pretty stupid as well, because it was basically moving the whole deal into a reality. And, it then gets complicated, okay? But that case is very black and white. As I was victim of slavery for 2 years, and that also goes back there in Brazil to the USTR investigations, Brazil-America relationship. When the whole thing is going to be fixed, it probably is going to be added to these lawsuits that the embassy in Brazil in Washington D.C. has to be responsible for and start paying the indemnizations. But there is an element there about Australia, and that's why I send all the files to Australia. They have the police in Brisbane has answered me back, said that they have a specific division that goes to financial fraud. Most of my cases also, that's why they're related to EPSTEIN files and stuff, because it's financial fraud, finance, like because it's finance. So it's like, why Mark Phillips did not process that payment, like, as an investigation, okay? Like, he was just a client. I don't have there's nothing crazy when it comes to Greenbone Corporation. The only thing crazy is on the investigations. When I start to file the paperwork to help the authorities in Australia to really investigate the Australian arm of this problem, which, the SaveTheAmazonToday.com, okay? And that will be my ventures, okay, the sustainability one. They have a list of financial companies, and Greenbone Corporation, or their wonderful sustainability website, they mention like 5 companies there, and none of them are listed as financial companies. And then it goes like, maybe what is this whole thing about? What is the whole sustainability about? What the whole thing was about? Maybe the whole thing was Messianic Judaism. Maybe it was just a facade, and there's nothing behind the scenes. It's just, So these are the updates, and chapter 83, and we continue here. We continue here. Maybe at some point there will be something realistic happening. I just think Messianic Judaism is old news already. Like, it's not news by the fact that it's a life that I don't think it's going to be popular. Like, it's if you're not born and raised Messianic Jewish, it's very hard to adapt. Like, I will never adapt to Messianic Judaism. Usually, I don't think it's going to. I think they're trying to sell this religion in the United States, and I don't think it's going to really. I think it's when it comes to America. I think it's too far from American reality. It may work in Miami, in California, but I think it's too far from. I don't think. I'm not sure. It's just an assumption. Okay, I don't think Messianic Judaism is a religion that really is going to be. It is very popular in South America, but it comes from South America, and there are historical reasons for that. Like the Messianic Judaism started because of the persecutions in Spain, the Inquisition, against Jewish, Muslim, pagans, astrologists, and so they created this facade, and where they may even like pig, for example. Pig is the national food of European people. Is the meats number one that European people eat is pig related pork meats, and and then but Jews and Muslims, they don't eat pork. So in Colombia, for example, they may even do the festival of the pork, and you have like pigs everywhere, like. But that's just a facade. They even eat. They may eat like a full pig. Like they make a fat feast. But that's Messianic Judaism because they want to show that they are more European than European people. But that's just Messianic because the issue is that we end up on the pig on the poke, that expression, because then because it's just a facade. Because then we go, that's a confusion we're dealing with South America especially, because you take them as Europeans, but they're not. I believe it's easy. In the case of Argentina, it's easier to do business in Argentina addressing them as Jewish people. It's easier. It does not mean that it's 100% true, but it's a bit more logical. Oh, it's matriarchy, it's individualistic, it's very grounded, it's very Old Testament only oriented, and like, for example, Argentinian Spanish, they greet each other with suerte or adios, which means shalom in Yiddish, okay? In European Spanish, which is the one that I have heard the most in America, for example, we don't say that. We say very similar to the English. We say, hasta luego, nos vemos, la próxima, ha sido un gusto. But that's European English. That's not Jewish English. I even get offended when someone tells me adios, because that sounds like because it sounds like I'll never see you again. Among Jews, when you are only Jewish community discussions, it does not sound that way, but it's required interpretation. So that's a conflict, especially when you have all cultures combined, right? But all right, so who has been here? It's about almost 50 minutes of conversation. This is the Bring Civilization Back Trust, chapter 83. Okay, and we're here. If the War on Beauty is watching me, I love your show. It goes side by side with the Bring Civilization Back Trust, but you are in a fashion and artistic role, which is super cool. I find your show super cool, and it matches. It's funny that you started by 2020. It's about the same year I started as well with the Bring Civilization Back Trust, which is more related to logistics, finance, accountability, sales processes, management, corporation stuff. LEGroup, that's my company, LEGroup, Law and Exports Group, okay? Here is the Law and Exports Group. That's the UK branch. This is the American branch. This is the where it started, LEGroup USA, and then there's the Irish one, which I don't have it here right now. All right, people. So have a great evening. If you're watching this in the evening, have a great day. If you're watching this in the day, have a great day. If you have a morning, if it's the morning. All right, cheers.